This may, in fact, be the last episode of Following Farmington. We want everyone to know it's been a good ride, and we trust our operators. And let's do this.
We'll bring you back safe to the ground.
We are here following Farmington for, I believe, our fourth installment. I'm here with Chief Love, the fire chief of our Farmington Fire Department. And so welcome, Chief.
Well, thank you.
How long you been with the department?
I started in 1985, so I'm coming up to 40 years here pretty soon. So
We've changed a bit since then.
a lot, yeah.
So when did we go from volunteer to having full-time staff?
When I started, we weren't actually volunteers. We were paid part-time, but we didn't man the station. We just came on paid. When the pager went off, you came to the station. And then we used to train for 3 hours one night a week, and we got paid, I think, $10 for that training each week.
Wow.
And we used to get our checks once a year. We'd get paid once a year, and yeah, that's kind of how it worked. And then it progressed from there to where we started to man the station 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And from there, then it went to 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, and then 12 hours a day. It just kind of progressed from there to the point now where each one of our shifts has 6 full-time people, and then myself and Mandus. So we've just progressed slowly as we've come along. So it's come a long ways, but the city's changed a lot too. So
yeah, it's fascinating. Well, I don't know if fascinating is the right word. It's sobering to think about these kinds of natural disasters. A few years back, we had whole cities like in California burn out from wildfire.
Yeah.
And then you see flooding, you just think, oh my gosh. And in Maui, they had the wildfire.
That's right.
Hawaii.
They did,
These things can happen so quickly.
They can, and we're at risk here for wildfire. We have the largest interface area in Davis County, and but we are able to plan a little bit more for those kinds of things. We have evacuation processes, and they'd have warnings. And there's places that people can go to escape the life-threatening stuff, but it could be catastrophic if we get one.
If you had a magic wand, and I've said this to other department heads, and you could change any aspect of our wildfire protection programs, what would you do to our mountainside? I mean, what would make Chief Love sleep better at night?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, there's really not much we can do with the hazard of wildfire. Educate people that they don't need to be up there messing around with fire or fireworks and things like that. Try to eliminate any human-caused fires that could take place. Mm-hmm. But we have no control over lightning and things like that start fires. And so that and have people be aware and ready in case we ever have that kind of a situation, that they know what to do.
Are there things that a community can do to make the hillside a little safer? I mean, I realize that a lot of what we have is natural vegetation. We've got trees. We love the trees. We've got the grasses. We love the grasses. But in the middle of summer, that becomes the fuel for the fire, right?
It does. A wet spring makes for a busy fire season.
Yeah.
The one thing that we can do as a community for that is we are already what they call a fire-wise community. And to continue in that aspect and have our community members that live on the east side, that are on the urban interface area, to make sure that they do the best that they can with their own property to clear stuff and keep roofs clean and gutters clean and all those kinds of things, so that we don't get any embers and things like that could come down and start their home on fire. So, but as far as the hillside, Farmington City, we kind of run out at the Fire Break Road, and it becomes national forest or state ground, and they do some things, as far as mitigation, clearing brush and things like that, but there's not a lot they can do on that hillside, so.
We had that lightning storm back a month or so ago, and we had our little fire on the hillside. And even though that was on Forest Service land, did your crew get up there?
We didn't go up to the fire. That night, actually, we had 3 brush fires in town.
In-town fires,
Yeah,
that's right.
that being, and so our crews were busy up on Compton Bench. We had a fire that was lightning caused. We had another one down on I-15. So we were already spread kind of thin. As a matter of fact, our crew that was working up on Compton Bench, they saw the lightning strike that caused the fire up in Red Creek.
Oh, no way.
But it was small enough and smoldering and far enough away from the community that we had the Forest Service respond, and they did a great job. We were able to house their people. They had up to 50 people working on that fire, believe it or not.
Wow.
And the city was great, and we gave them that park there at the pond that they could stage and sleep and eat and do all those kinds of things. But they took care of that pretty much. We were there to help them. We did have a medical. One of the firefighters went down up on that fire and had to be lifted out, and they brought him down in our ambulance, took him to the hospital. But we were on standby for anything like that might happen. So.
And a few years back, we had the fire out west.
That was a
Our
big
blessed
fire, too.
Phragmites,
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we watched that fire and that smoke, that was a lot closer to us.
It was.
Than the one on the hillside. So everybody kind of had, at least everybody's internal temperature was going up as we were watching that fire approach.
We were fortunate with that fire in that the West Davis corridor was under construction, and so we had a fire break between that fire and the community. And so that's the way that we kind of handled that fire, is we set up our apparatus and all of our equipment and everything to make sure that that fire didn't jump over that berm area where they were working on the highway and come into town. So,
Yeah.
and the Forest Service, the DWR and those people, they were like, oh, just let that phragmite burn, let's get rid of it. But
Yeah.
but it was a big fire.
That was a
Burned
big
a lot
fire.
of acreage.
I remember that. You remember that game you used to play when you were little? Like you'd say, if I had $1 million, I would. And you think of all the things you do with $1 million.
Oh, yeah. I
Okay.
still do that.
I do too. And but now it's like I need $1 billion, because I just went to lunch today. It was $15 for a hamburger. I'm like, when did
Can you
hamburgers?
believe that?
When did a combo meal become $15? In any event, if Chief Love had $1 million today, what would you buy? What's the first thing you buy? And then we're going to add a zero to it and make it $10 million. But what's the first thing you buy? The city of Farmington strokes you a check for $1 million and says, Chief, spend it. What do you buy?
It wouldn't be enough to build the new station.
Not even close.
And it wouldn't be enough to give us 3 more full-time personnel, probably. But
Right.
that would only be a one-time thing. That's a continuous expense. So if I had the $1 million and had to spend it right now on I would probably buy. We're going to have to replace our heavy rescue in the near future. Our big
What does a big heavy
truck.
rescue truck cost?
Yeah, $1 million.
$1 million. So there you go.
Yeah.
You could buy one truck.
Yeah.
Now, is the lead time on a heavy rescue truck kind of what you told me before on, is it like 2 years plus?
It is, unless some of the manufacturers now, like Pierce and some of those, they have what they call their stock base units.
Oh.
That they have some of those that are more available, but if you want to custom build one and get the compartments the size you want them and the hose beds as big as you want and all those kinds of things, you're looking at about 3 years.
3 years.
We've got an engine that is supposed to now be delivered in November that kind of replace our first out engine. We call it the WUI engine. It's the urban interface engine, but we ordered that 3.5 years ago.
3.5 years, and we're still
But we went
waiting.
through COVID,
Okay.
and all the supply problems through China and everything that they've gone through. But they're telling us now that we'll get it in November. We were expecting it in June, and now they've put us off till November, and so who knows where it'll go from that. But yeah, you're about 3 years out for a new piece.
So when you're anticipating future needs, you literally have to be at least 5 years out.
Yes.
You've got to be thinking about it so you can budget for it, make the order, and then wait for it to show up.
Yeah, yep.
That's
exactly.
insane.
It is.
No
It
other
is.
no other department that I'm aware of has that kind of lead time.
Yeah, it is. It's hard because, you know, for me right now to go, we're just getting a new engine. And for me now to go to the city council and to yourself and just say, hey, we need to start budgeting for another new engine in
Right.
5 years. And you're like, holy crap, you know, $1 million again?
Yeah.
But our toys are expensive.
Yeah.
And
Because they have to work.
They have to work.
Right.
And our guys work really hard to keep them in good working order and clean and ready to go and everything, but they wear out, you know, they get old, and then you have to replace them, and it's such a huge item when you do that you do have to think that far ahead. So
Wow. Now I'm going to add a zero. You got $10 million now. Now what do you buy?
I'll get that station done.
You'd put it into the station.
Yeah.
It's that big of a priority to you.
It is. It is.
Tell me about the involvement of women in the fire department.
Yes.
Like, how many female firefighters do we have, or EMT, you know, our medical specialists, and are you seeing an uptick in that, and what can we do to kind of continue the trend?
We are seeing an uptick in that. We've hired, I think, you're kind of catching me off guard. I think we have 8
Hey,
firefighters that are women now. We have full-time staffing. We have, I think, 4 of our full-timers that are women. They're good hands. They do a good job. So
I was over there at your open house the other night, and I thought it was fun, and I was excited to see as many men and women. You know, it's just great to see the diversity in the department.
Yeah.
It's fun to see when we're kind of a more representation of what our cities are looking like.
Yeah.
I found that
yeah,
heartening.
and that has really increased over the last 3 or 4 years. We've got a lot more women that are getting involved in the fire service. So.
Oh, good.
Okay, we're on scene following Farmington, and we've got the ladder truck and our most famous movie star firefighter here, who's going to explain a little bit about what goes on in the ladder truck.
Sweet, thanks, Mayor. So this is our ladder truck. It's called a boom truck. As you can see, if you look at it, it has an articulated boom on it. It's not a regular ladder truck that would normally go straight up and out. This actually will go up and then it jibs out, as you guys will see here in a second when we take you up. And it can make some unusual movements and actually go out and then below grade. And so if we're, for example, we're on top of a bridge and had someone that was stuck underneath there trying to do something crazy like graffiti or something, or they're just climbing on it, we could actually go over the top of over the outside of the bridge, go down underneath the grade where the truck is sitting and go underneath it to get to that person to a certain extent. And it has operating parameters and everything, which we'll show you here in a minute, but it can do some pretty cool things.
So what? How big of a house does it, like this is a 3-story house to get on the roof?
So right now we're 42 feet off
42
the ground. We're
feet.
at 57 degrees, and so the degrees is the boom here, the
Okay.
actual position that it's in, and so relative to 0, right? And then we go up to 45, 90 degree, all the way straight up. The optimal climbing angle on a regular straight stick ladder is 75 degrees, which I'm not exactly sure, but it's somewhere in there.
That's pretty steep.
It is pretty steep. It feels like you're going straight up.
Yeah.
It does feel like 90. Right?
And the further you get extended out, it
Yes.
probably feels a little steeper.
Yep.
So you're fully loaded. You've got all your gear on. You're a strapping, strong firefighter. How much does it weigh? Like when you've got the tanks on, you've got all your stuff. What do you think you're carrying in terms of gear?
Like I said, about another 100 pounds.
100 pounds.
Your gear, your pants, your jacket, the boots, the helmet, gloves, that's probably about 60 pounds, 40 to 60 pounds, depending on the size of the person. And then your air pack is another 40 pounds or so.
So if
and
you're
your tools and stuff like
if
that.
you're running upstairs, you're running with a human being piggybacking you. I mean, it's
Pretty
100
much.
pounds. You're
Pretty
carrying
much, yeah.
somebody.
Yeah.
In a sense,
Oh yeah, yep.
that's a lot.
That's why we need to be in shape.
Wow.
position ourselves over the building a little more. And you can see how the hose articulates and
Yeah.
fluctuates with the bucket.
So if you had fire, could you operate the water from down there, or do you have to have someone up here to spray water?
So no, you can operate it right here from the trigger. So these buttons
You
on
could.
top are the water flow.
So if we had the hose hooked up, we could spray Chief.
yes, we could. Yep. Yep.
We should have thought about that.
We could do that. We could give him a good shower.
All right, I'm here with Jeff Jarrow. We just finished our ride on the ladder truck. He's the best operator in Farmington, best operator in Davis County, following Farmington.